everyone, I'm Coach Toni. Welcome to Coach Toni's Table, where the madness always meets the method. This is the writing on the board. We have special guest Dr. Tori Ellis here with us. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, Coach Toni here. Welcome to the Writing on the Board. I'm so excited. This is my first guest that I've had, this is my first guest on the podcast. We've been filming like a whole bunch of bloopers already, y'all, so it's already a problem. She is an incredible human being. I'm gonna let her introduce herself to you. Dr. Ellis, what do the people need to know about you?
I am Dr. Ellis. I'm still getting used to this title. I'm a new mom. I'm also the one of two co-authors for I'm a Mini Entrepreneur series, and we also have a new series coming out called Miss Belladonna's Lab. We have big projects in the works, and I have my degree in my Psych D in human and organizational psychology. So that's the study of the human mind, but also organizational development from the top tier all the way to the bottom. And my concentration is on organizational leadership. So we're here to get it in and clean up where it needs to be cleaned up.
Nice. Okay. So you also used to teach, right?
Yes.
What did you teach and where?
I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade PE and health, and that was at Ascend Charter Schools, and I took 2nd grade at Success Charter Schools.
Okay, how was that for you?
An experience.
Well, since we already put the schools out there, we're not going to talk too much about that experience, but everyone who's listening knows by now, if you have listened to my first and second episode, or if you haven't, I'll tell you, we usually go through, or not we usually, I've only done it by myself so far. But what happens is I am trying to amplify the voices of other teachers, right? But I'm using people in the education space so that we can share our thoughts and share whether or not this is something that is really an issue, right? So first thing, in terms of teaching, would you return now if you had the choice or the opportunity? No. And you know, the thing is, there is a whole podcast out called Ditch Teaching, I think.
Really?
It's like I think her name is Amanda, and she's helping people ditch the classroom. I think it's called Ditch the Classroom.
Okay.
Ditch the Classroom or Ditch Teaching, right? And I can't even be mad at her. Like, shout out to you. I think her name is Amanda. Shout out to you, Amanda. I can't even be mad at that because did I say that right? I can't even be mad at that because at this point it's like, the classroom is a stressful place to be.
They've always been a stressful place to be.
And that I think people don't realize.
Yes.
And then we became martyrs for like 2 seconds when the pandemic started.
I think we were martyrs before that, but continue.
I mean, yes, we were always, like, teachers have always been the education system as it stands is like is a lot. Mm-hmm. However, people started to respect it once they had to be at home with their own kids.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And
then it was like the disrespect started to rise back up when they were like, take the kids back. I don't know. Either way, I have a post here that was submitted anonymously by a teacher. And now, y'all, Tori has not heard anything about this post. She does not know what I'm going to say. She does not know what this topic is about. I'm just going to read it to her, and we're just going to give our reactions.
Yeah, so this is raw, uncut.
Uncut. We're not even, I mean, I read it a little bit, but I also did not give myself time to process it. I literally just was like, we're going to let it out here.
Okay.
And see what we talk about. Okay, so this person wrote, "It absolutely baffles me how all of society knows how cognitively behind our students are this year, and probably a few years to follow, but continue to create exams like every child should be on par with grade level expectations. I don't get it. My kids work hard on everything I assign. Everything is standards aligned. Work is scaffolded for my kids who need the extra assistance, etc., etc. I'm not saying I'm a perfect teacher. I had a horrid day just yesterday, and like the rest of society, I'm sure that this year has been more trying than we ever could have imagined. I bounce back and keep it moving. However, when the end game is an unrealistic exam that my kids just cannot do halfway through quarter one, I feel so defeated. I can't even imagine how they feel. I don't like this.
Ooh, that's deep. That is really deep.
This is like one of my longest ones that I got.
And whoever that is, shout out to you for expressing yourself with this beautiful lady right here, because this is the perfect person to express yourself to. I mean, honestly, this all just comes full circle for me when I did my thesis, my Psych D thesis on teacher perception of, what is the name of it? Teacher perception of leadership support and the use of student testing data.
Oh, directly data. Oh, okay.
Yes. So you hit the nail right on it. And to be honest, it was taken during the pandemic, so those results are definitely going to show the trying times that a lot of the teachers were going through. My committee member, the head of my committee member was one of the head people in Arizona schools, a district head. So it was kind of interesting when we was putting the studies together, and she was very, very, very excited that I was putting the focus on and talking to her about it too. You can see like the passion behind it. But the results was pretty much taken from a survey. Everything was anonymous, and the results came back and showed a lot of the teachers are struggling. They feel like they don't have the support from their principals. They feel like the testing data to use for students can be very skewed because not everybody looks at data the same. So it makes a very, very big difference on how they may look at it compared to someone else. But then also, it doesn't allow the kids to be kids or be individuals. So you're taking away the fact that these kids either, some of them may learn through graphics, some of them may learn through listening, some of them may learn through art or something like that. Everybody has their own way of learning and their own way of, displaying what they have learned. And then for teachers to have these set rules on how to use the data, sometimes they don't even know how to use the data.
That's true.
Right. So we had a few teachers. The survey was taken nationwide. We had a few teachers who pretty much said that they came into the school system, they didn't have a teacher certificate. So that means that they probably did not have any training on how to understand the data. And they're learning it firsthand in the school system. And with that being said, that is going to cause an extra learning curve for them. It was. I
don't think. Honestly, I don't even think this year is not the year for data. I mean, in small ways, yes, I do think that we should be collecting data on students. In large ways, like the tests, we could have skipped for a whole nother year.
I mean, because at this point, it's like, how can you test them? Well, if you think about it, a lot of the schools nowadays are based off of how these kids test. So a lot of kids are learning for the test, not learning for themselves in the future and how to use it past the test, which I think is putting that gap in the learning curve as well, because now it's like you learn for the test, now the test is over. How can you apply this to real life? And then are they taking that abstract thinking to be like, hey, I can use this in the real world? Probably not. They're probably like, damn, this was for a test, and now I'm stuck with, okay, I did the test, I passed it now, or I failed it, now I gotta go to the next subject or go to the next level and do it again with new information.
I'm not, testing is just not, I don't know. Look, at this point, I feel like testing is a sore point for me.
Okay.
I literally, before we do anything that's related to the state test, I have a disclaimer in my class. I literally tell them, I'm like, yeah, I don't care for this test. I think it's stupid. I kid you not. You can ask any one of my students. I'm like, this is not a test I would give you. It's not my choice. We just have to do it because some of you are going to want to do certain things and they're going to ask for these scores.
The transparency is real. And
I am very transparent with my students. They will tell you I am extremely transparent. But the thing about it is, for me, there's so many gaps in the classroom right now. And this person here is like just as frustrated as me, because I literally said this like every other day to my instructional dean and to my principal, and I was like, we can't be doing that. And then there's always around like the internet floating like, how could we scaffold a class, differentiate? We have to meet the students where they are. We're creating individualized, plans for them. And then this test is just like one size fits all. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, between that and when the pandemic hit, not being prepared for this kind of switch from in classroom to remote. So now you have to learn a whole new ball game of teaching these kids, and then trying to teach the data and get the data from that when some of these kids are falling asleep in the camera, not having the camera on. And a lot of these kids too, the classroom or the school was their safety, so they didn't have all the access and tools that they need at home. They didn't probably have a good environment to be at home to focus, and that caused a lot of issues amongst just kids and their families, and Lord knows as many ACS cases have been called because of that. That's a whole nother topic. But
that is another topic. That's a good topic, though.
That's a whole nother topic.
That is a topic. Oh my goodness.
That is a whole nother topic. And that's all goes down into data, because now they're not present in the classroom. They're not, participating, or they're not showing up for class, or they're not completing the work, because what is the sense of completing the work? And then they're rushed to do it at the end of the year. So it's like, yeah, but then now it's, we have to give them grace. Pass them through to the next grade, but we get no grace. The teachers get no grace. And it's like, so how am I supposed to pass them off to the next grade for the next teacher to not have the proper resources to help them? They're already falling behind. I'm supposed to just be like, oh yeah, you just did nothing all year, or you couldn't really contribute all year, but you could go to the next grade and be a teacher. Being a teacher is a passion.
It is.
Okay? Because you're taking care of other people's kids. So now I have to sit here and watch this kid that...
But you know what my solution for that is? I think that all schools should be K-12.
That's interesting.
I think that every single school should be K-12. One, because that allows for years that don't work to be corrected in future years.
I disagree.
Really?
And the reason... Listen to why
Okay.
Okay, so I went to a school that was K-8.
I went to a K-12 school.
You did?
I did.
Okay, so I went to a school that was K-8.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like, yeah, you have those gaps, because now the teachers will know you from the previous year, or whatever the case may be. But then I feel like it's limiting not just the teachers' growth, but then it's limiting the students' growth, because then they're seeing the same teachers, the same students. They're not getting any type of diversity. So
but why would they see the same students, though?
Prime example, I went to K-8, so a lot of the schools, and my school was very, very small. So a lot of the students...
teachers, like, recycled.
Yeah, so I had the same teacher twice, which was not a really good teacher. My mom despised this woman. Oh, my God. She despised this woman. I had her for 2 years in a row, and it was during the testing years. Then also you have, a set classroom. So if you have a small graduating class, like my graduating class had 7 girls, 14 boys. So imagine being with them same kids since kindergarten. You probably had a larger group at one point, and then it dwindled down. And then it's like you're used to these people. By the time you go to high school, it's like culture shock.
I can definitely see, I can see where you're coming from with that. I just feel like if everything was K-12 now, this last year wouldn't have been such because imagine, students in New York leave 5th grade, and that's middle school. So they go to middle school. So 6th grade is now the start of middle school.
Okay.
So imagine all of the 6th grade teachers this year.
With the incoming 5th graders
from that they don't everywhere.
Know. Okay. I can see your point with that too. I can definitely see your point with that.
And then 9th grade, right? Because you have 6, 7, 8. And then imagine the 9th grade teachers this year from everywhere. So, like, for example, I taught in a middle school that also added a high school, right? And, I mean, we had most of our kids graduate from middle school and go to high school. So, it's not a great example. But just in terms of, like, it was still scattered learning, because obviously it's no longer an equitable playing field if people are tuning in from wherever they're tuning into, have whatever issues that they have or situations or whatever, and it's no longer an even playing field of education.
Okay.
All right. A worse scenario is a 9th grade teachers literally accepting kids from all over the city, that especially since it's high school now, and we've had to inflate grades for the last year and a half, right? So the applications look a little bit better than they really should.
And these kids probably have the reading or math level of 7th and 6th grade.
7th and 6th grade.
Okay.
They were able to opt out of that exam if they wanted to, which most did.
Right.
So literally, these incoming 9th graders are giving their teachers a run for their money.
Oh, man.
And so if that was the case, right, and you had a K through 12, then you could sit there and say, like, as a principal, we can examine the data from the last 2 years and say, like, this is what's missing. Here's how we're going to make sure that by 12th grade, they're okay.
Okay.
Versus, like, we got to get them taking the test. We got to get them this. We got to get them that. It's a rush. Now, I do get, and my school was a little bit bigger. We had 250 students per grade.
Okay.
But that's still small compared to like some schools down south and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like a big thing that happened in New York when the pandemic first started was the government was like refusing to shut us down. De Blasio was like, we're not shutting down, we're not shutting down, we're not shutting down. And the answer to the question why was kids rely on schools for breakfast, for a safe place, for all these things. And I think if there was there's a bigger push for community organizations to provide what you're looking for, like the diversity in student, well, not the diversity, it should be diversity in school, but like the diversity in who you hang out with or the things that you can do or, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe that can alleviate the fact of like, you know, I need something to eat. I need some, you know, something safe. I need to hang out with other people. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it wouldn't have made, because I feel for every 6th grade teacher out there.
And when you put it in that aspect, I get it. But then now,
I'm here.
Let's add a little bit extra, right? Because
Okay.
we talked about the community aspect.
Okay.
Cool. We talked about the disparities with the 6th and the 9th grade.
Okay.
Now, you had touched upon the principal. You have to have a really sturdy foundation as a principal to execute something like that, to make sure that all your students in that classroom from K to 12 is really taken care of.
But I would still have different principals.
Okay. But they all have to be on the same board.
Yes.
Now, a lot of times, if you look at the school systems now, sometimes the leadership is not as strong, which means it plays an effect on the teachers, who plays an effect on the students.
True.
So, for something like that,
You would have to have
you have to have a really good leadership staff. And the leadership staff, unfortunately, sometimes is not that strong. Either they don't have the proper training to do it, or they didn't go to school for being a principal or leadership. And then that also showed in the statistics as well. A lot of the teachers do not feel they have a secure foundation with their teachers or their principals. They don't feel that they can trust the principals. They don't feel that they can trust their staff members. So how are you going to communicate with kids about the kids' growth if you can't even communicate within your own staff? If morale is low, that's a
But there's a
problem.
fix for that. That means stop promoting people because they want to be promoted. And that means we need a better... Because I really honestly feel my teacher preparation program didn't do nothing for me.
Okay, real quick. Who's going to stop that when it's about making money to open
Nobody.
up these schools?
That's why this podcast exists.
So if we're going to keep making money to open up these schools, we're going to keep having this same problem when it comes down to the leadership aspect, which is why I studied organizational leadership, because it starts from up top. Everybody else at this point, it's like when you have a role that can potentially help and transform the lives of so many underneath you, and you look at them as an equal to transform them as well, it's something that can be very long lasting, have a lot of longevity. You're leaving a legacy behind, but it's something that can boost everybody up. When you be in a classroom and the teacher's morale is low, them kids don't want to be in that classroom with that teacher either.
That is true. That is true.
It all trickles down from the top.
Well, you know what? Here's what I'll say then. I say my plan exists in Pleasantville. Like if we...
The ideal world?
The ideal world.
Okay.
If we decide... Because, okay, there's so many issues with education. That's why this podcast exists. Because it's like everything's a problem right now. There are plenty of people who want to do leadership because it sounds cool and it pays more and they have no idea what they're doing, right?
Yep.
So... there's a lot of teachers who are in it for the wrong reason. A lot of teachers who are burnt out, just period, and need to take a step back from the classroom. Right. A lot of teachers who are older who cannot even keep up with the technology of today and
then you have
are struggling.
Teachers that are coming in because right now the teacher shortage is short, retention is high, and they're accepting teachers that are not.
They're accepting randoms, y'all.
No, literally. Like, okay, Pete, I did not want to be a teacher. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never wanted to be a teacher, but I knew that I loved kids. I always worked with kids. I did after school programs. So I was doing tutoring. I was the assistant director of education. My background has always been with transforming, helping kids education-wise.
Okay.
So when I said I can go do PE and health, I could go do that. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Go do second grade, you can go do that. But now the qualifications of me, I don't have the typical classes.
Were you certified?
Teaching. No.
Wait a minute.
And that's what I'm saying.
I didn't even know that.
Charter schools.
Well, I know charter schools don't have, because I've been in charter.
Yeah, you don't have to be certified. The principals don't have to be certified.
Well, I did know that. I didn't know you were. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the principals don't have to be certified either. The principals can have a business degree and go do it because they're running it like a business.
Well, you know what? Here's what I'll say. That's like a catch-22 too, because for me, I think there are some really great teachers who aren't certified.
Yes.
And there's some really great teachers who are. Yes. I mean,
it's a knack for the kid and wanting to make sure that the kid understands the process of learning and making sure that the kid wants to be better and you want to help the kid be better. But in that same breath, it's like if you have teachers that you're pulling based off of a degree that they have off of sociology or psychology, you have really good odds, because now it's like, okay, they have that understanding of the mind breakdown or being sociable with the kid. Cool. But then now when
they're not even pulling that though. They're just finding random people at this point.
It's getting worse because the teacher shortage. So I got pulled because I have a psych degree background. And I took some teaching classes. But come on. This is one in a few. We were in a time.
But how long ago were you were in the classroom?
I was in the classroom in 2016, 2017, and 2018, 2019. So, yeah.
Oh, that's recently.
Girl, I got out in the nick of time.
Oh, that's recently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
So, like I'm saying, like, nothing much. Literally, So if we're talking about the PDs and stuff for these teachers to make sure that they understand the data, or the PDs to make sure that the teachers have the support from the leadership. If you're going to a whole system and switching to in-person to remote, the leadership don't even have that kind of information on how to do it. The school system don't have the system on how to do it. A teacher that has no teaching background, who literally probably just graduated school, because a lot of these teachers are 21, 22, fresh. I'm talking about what behind the ears. You're going to it's like they're literally learning themselves while they're learning these kids, or they're learning themselves as they're going through it. And it's not an easy process to do it, because these hours are no joke. These hours don't cut off. It's like you're on call all the time without an on-call phone or an on-call salary.
What was that on-call phone?
Listen, but come on.
I mean, I think definitely going forward, because like I'm thinking about it now, and you raise a lot of points, and I understand that it's so difficult to talk about one thing and not talk about other things. It's so weird to just say like, okay, yeah, I want a K through 12, and you're just like, but what about? Yeah, we're gonna have to operate in like a perfect world situation aside from the issue at hand, I think, because it's a lot.
And you wanted to talk about what's at hand. And at hand right now is a lot.
But I mean, did you I mentioned this in my first podcast. There are districts that are like sending letters to everyone who is certified to like come back.
Oh yeah, because they need the help.
I feel like we definitely have a bargaining chip.
You
now
do.
Teachers now have, and this I think is not even I think this is the reason why, this is just like I stated in my first episode, this is the reason why I'm doing this, because at this point we need to be able to have these conversations. We need to be able to say, okay, let's rally around what's true for us. Let's rally around what may not be true for me, but true for the majority. I think that's big as well, because I'm a teacher who had a baby while teaching. Mm-hmm. That's a struggle in itself. And I do know that being married or having a whole family, having kids, affects your profession, especially teaching, because you can no longer give all your time to one place.
Right.
So when like parents are calling at 8 p.m. and your kids are calling at 8 p.m. and the grades are sitting and looking at you unfinished, you have to make choices, and something's going to get sacrificed. And that's not everybody's situation. But of course, I would always advocate. I would always advocate for different treatment of mothers in the workforce to be able to sustain them and sustain the future of this nation or whatever the case may be. But that's my story, right? And I think the thing that I really want for people to start to do is to think about teachers as a whole. And if we see pockets of stories, to defend that, right? So even if you're single, have no family, have no kid, and can get in the parking lot by 6:45 a.m., doesn't mean that you shouldn't advocate for the person who isn't single, has to get their child to daycare by 6 a.m. to get on the bus, to get into town, to get to wherever they're going, to be in the classroom by a certain time, because it's a different situation, right?
Because that situation could be, if we're talking about teachers who have to go take a second job just to sustain their living.
There's another, yeah.
So that can be majority of teachers. That doesn't even have to be with a family, without a family. That is a lot of teachers, because the pay is not great.
But then that also, I find that happens to be a lot of people in a relationship too with kids, because
it's all.
You know what, it's also
it's
too
all,
people, or the people who how do I say this, there's a percentage of teachers who still live with their parents, who don't pay utilities as they, not should. They don't pay all their utilities. And so now the teacher salary is just fine for them.
That's if they don't have a student loan.
I don't have any, so I can't relate. But you know what?
I had a student loan.
Thank you for putting me on. I don't have student loans.
I had a student loan.
Did you pay? So you paid it off.
Are you kidding me? Oh. Absolutely not.
So you have student loans.
I got my doctorate. That's a student loan. Like, that is a loan, girl. That's an investment in my education. My investment in my education was a pretty penny. Do I regret it?
Student loans compound interest every single day?
Listen, right now,
you don't care.
No, right now they don't, because of everything that's going on.
Right.
Right now they don't. It's 0% interest.
See, what do I know?
Me being me, I'm able to cut certain, you put money aside, you put it in and do what you gotta do, so it's cutting off the interest and you're going towards the principal. It's just a matter of everything and putting all the pieces in play. Besides that too, I was living on my own, so I was paying utility bills, living in New York, and this is just only in New York. You can't talk about every other state. New York is expensive to live in. Living on your own in an apartment, I had a 2-bedroom apartment that was like $25,000 out of pocket. $2,500. Thank you. But $25,000 by the end of the year. Let's say that 1 year, $25,000.
Yeah.
And that's not including a car to get to and from work. That's car note and insurance. So you adding on bill after bill after bill after bill. That teacher salary is still not doing what it needs to do.
And no, I completely get it. But like, even now, just having this aha moment, I don't have student loans because I received a Macaulay Honor Scholarship. Anybody who lives in New York, please make sure that you are looking into Macaulay Honors, okay? If you're a teacher listening to this, look into it for your students. Please make sure you put them on that track. It is a free program. I don't know the details of it now, what COVID has changed about any of it. But back when I was young, they gave you a free dorm, free laptop, free tuition. And I also qualified for the Jack Nash Scholarship, which means I got an extra $2,500 a semester, or I forgot. Every semester, I think I got $2,500.
And that's one program, because I know my best friend, was part of Posse, so look at Posse as well. Posse program, she ended up going to Vanderbilt for a ride.
Nice.
But you have to do early action.
Oh, so yeah.
You submitted to the schools, the one that you submitted to, and if they accept you, that's the one you're going to. So you can't opt out of that. So it has their pros and cons, but at the end of the day, that's a great education to have.
I didn't even think, and it's so funny. Like, and so here's the thing, right? So I'm not affected by student loans. Hallelujah. But still, understanding that means that I am now, whenever I get the chance, I'm going to make sure that I am advocating for teachers who have those exorbitant loans. And I actually did see an anonymous submission that was just like, something happened and they can't find my records and like they're not wiping my student loans or something. And I can't imagine. I don't like student loans because they compound daily and that's just robbery.
And they say for teachers, you can get your loan forgiven if you.
It's like 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
And you have to make all the payments for the 10.
So by that time, depending on the student loan, your student loan probably could be paid off.
No.
Depending on some people, it could probably be paid off by the time that you get the forgiveness. At that point, are you gonna give me my money back? No.
Most people isn't paid off though. I know people that are older that still have loans.
Loans is a whole different book. That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
You have topics, girl.
I have a lot of time, and you know what?
Topics.
I didn't even think of, and it's so crazy. So I just sat in my non-loan privilege just now, and you know the gag is like, I dropped out of Macaulay.
Oh,
I didn't finish. I had to retain. Funny story. I did not finish Macaulay. Life happened and I left and I got into the workforce very early, which is why my resume is so long. And people are like, why you do everything? Because I just had to survive. And then when I finally went back, I was married early, so I didn't have to use my parents' income, and we were dirt poor. Mm-hmm. So my dirt poorness helped me qualify for financial aid that covered for the rest of my. But when I went back, I did my bachelor's and my master's at the same time. But guess what? They had a stop on my record for graduation because I never returned the laptop that they gave me. And you know what? I'm not even gonna. I can't excuse what I did, but life happened, and I wouldn't have it another way because I do love the path life took me on. But at the same time, they were just like, you can't graduate until you bring this laptop back. So I had to go find it.
You could definitely advocate for those who had
I'm advocating for everything now.
Yeah.
This is why this podcast exists. I'm advocating for everybody now. And I think this is the thing that I would like. If you're listening to this podcast and you're still here with us, thank you very much for staying till the end.
Yeah.
Because I know retention of listeners usually falls after a certain point. But I think the thing that I would implore everyone to try to do is to listen for what you can advocate for. Listen to how you can help your fellow teachers, because we are all in the same boat. A lot of us have the same issues, and we don't realize it because we're in different states, and different states have different districts, and we're not really federally united. So we're not talking about the things that plague us similarly.
Right.
And we are starting to now. I think social media is definitely bringing us together in that respect, right? Because teachers will make something go viral, and teachers from all over the country are liking, agreeing, commenting, right? But just be aware of the situation of other people around you. And maybe that's the only person in your school that's going through that. But then believe that there are way more people in the school system around the country that are dealing with that same exact issue and that need the help of someone to advocate for them.
Right.
We are in such a place to bargain for what we want because they're asking for it. My friend called me, was like, if you have anyone that needs to move to Tennessee or wants to move to Tennessee that knows math, will pay the relocation fee, will pay a sign-on bonus. I was just in California doing a PD, and they were like, if you want to come tomorrow, we have a position open. Now's the time to bargain, and we can't really do so unless we stand together. And I will always stand for someone and say, like, what about their student loans, even though I don't have any, you know? So that's my thing. If you're listening and it doesn't apply to you, still make sure that you look out for those people. And when it comes time to speak up for them and make sure that they're heard, if you have a voice, please use it. So that's what I'm going to end this on. And I'm going to thank Dr. Ellis.
Thank you for having me.
For being my very, very, very first guest.
Yes.
I will definitely have you on again if you would have me.
I'm with it. Like,
this is a learning experience. I'm just like, I literally, just from this, we talked about so much, and we didn't even like scrape
the bare bottom. Like, we touched the surface.
This is surface.
Beautiful surface to touch, because now it's just raising so many questions. I know the dialogue that is going to come back, the feedback from this is going to be something off the charts. Your inbox is going to be going stupid because there's so many people that can relate in one way or the other. And there's so many people that now is going to be like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. Like, you had your aha moment. Or there's some people that's now is going to be like, yo, I feel that this is a unity moment. But definitely, if you need to get in contact with me, you can contact me at my social media, always.
I definitely forgot that,
Tori, Torii. I got you. And then you can because I do business coaching and life coaching. If you want to buy and support the books, you can buy them at I am a mini entrepreneur.com. On IG, you have I Am a Mini Entrepreneur. You can see it in my bio as well, and they're also available on Amazon.
And if you go to the writingontheboard.com, you will be able to click on the guest schedule, and you can see all that she just said there, and there are clickable links too. So go check her out. Please support the work that she's doing. It's a very, very amazing thing. Okay, I'm sorry I forgot that.
It's fine, but we're going to support.
Yes, no, but okay.
We're gonna
next time you got to do it in the front.
So now you know moving forward.
I know, right? Ugh. Okay, yes. Moving forward.
Learning.
Yes, I'm learning. Y'all, this is new for me. Next time, yeah, we're going to do that in the front. When I have a guest, I'm going to tell everybody where they can find you, all that in the front so we can get that over with. Well, good segue. Let me tell y'all how you can get to my inbox. First of all, if you go to www.thewritingontheboard.com, you can click the button that says submit, and you can submit something. So let me know what it is. If you want to comment on this episode, or you want to submit something, let it out. Let me know what's going on. I may just choose your post as the next one to talk about. And then what's the next thing I'm going to do? I am going to dedicate this show, as I do for every show and every future show, to my brother. Those of you who do not know about my brother's story, you can go to my other company's page at Play Math Grow on Instagram. Click the link on my bio and scroll all the way down to read his story. He is my inspiration because he is still, no matter what's going on with him, he currently has no legs. He is still telling me that I need to make sure that I'm doing everything I have to do for myself. He's still making sure that I'm still going after my dreams, my goals. Even though I'm his legal guardian now, I still am in awe of how much he cares for me. So this is for him. And I am happy that this finally happened. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to end it here. Thank you, Dr. Ellis, for coming and joining. Well, now I came to her. Look at her stairs, y'all. For those of you who can't even, some of you can't hear. Those of you who are watching me on YouTube, I'm actually, I drove to Dr. Ellis today. And so I'm so happy that she had me. And shout out to everybody, every teacher who has to go to school tomorrow. Oh no, I don't know. This is Friday. So shout out to everyone who has to go to school on Monday. Please take your weekend to relax. This is Coach Toni signing out, and I will see you on the next one. 3 1s, 3, 3 2s, 6, 3 3s, 9, 3 4s, 12, 3 5s, 15, 3 6, 18, 3 7s, 21, 3 8s, 24, 3 9s, 27, 3 10s, 30, 3 11s, 33.